Welcome to SteveGeek.com presents Bob's review for Gemini Man, directed by Ang Lee. I just got out of the movie and I'm doing a video review in my car rather than waiting and doing something on my camera when I get home to edit and upload, because I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out as they're coming to me as I get out of the movie before they kind of flood out, because, well, let's just start things a little proper. My name is Bob, and this is CityGeek.com, and of course, this is a review that's not part of 100 Days of Horror, first one besides the written one for Joker to not focus on horror for the last little while, since we're like 85 days deep. It's almost Halloween, so we're almost done. We almost got regular reviews, and since I'm so far behind on those, that's why I'm doing this video review instead. So we're looking at 2019's Gemini Man, a action science fiction film written, directed by Ang Lee, starring Will Smith. Bad joke. Clive Owen, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Benedict Wong, and did I say Clive Owen? Yeah. And written by a whole lot of different people over the last 24 years, and this was written sometime in the mid-90s, finally being produced, and it shows. This is a very 90s script, and the script is one of the many issues that this movie has. It's almost awful on all fronts, and I'm very disappointed. Not like Ang Lee. Ang Lee made Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon back in 1999, whatever it was, and everything else he's made since been kind of a commercial and critical failure. A couple of things here and there otherwise, but this is no different. His name keeps being put up there, but after Crouching Tiger, the audience essentially forgot who he is. The less you say about his version of Hulk, the better. But let's go back to that script here, where this is a script where it's so many problems here, not only in the way it's structured and the way it goes, because you can tell everything is going to happen from the basic premise, which here we have Will Smith plays a DIA, which is some sort of CIA, Department of Defense mix, who, after he retires, he realizes that his last couple of hits have been kind of fucked with a little bit, so they come after him, and then they send a version of him, a 25-year-old clone of him, to wipe him out, and then kind of reset everything. And then stories that comes from that. You can guess every line, every plot point. It's really obvious, really on the nose, and really direct. No surprises at all. There's some late twists that are a surprise to absolutely no one besides the people sitting in front of me in the audience who were really shocked at certain things. And I'm like, yeah, I figured that out like an hour ago. This particular shot here tells me all the information here, in which I'm doing it. Sorry, it's at the mall, so I'm probably gonna get noise if people's walking past. And but it's either that on the nose about telling people exactly how they're feeling and what you're feeling and everything that's going on, exposition, or just simply bad dialogue. It doesn't help that the performances aren't incredibly strong otherwise. Now, I will say on something, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I really like. I like her in a lot of things. She's a really underappreciated actress, whether it be her, Final Destination 3, Black Christmas, Die Hard 4, a whole lot of other things. She's been in so many amazing works. Well, those aren't all amazing, but she does a fine job, and it's really great to have her in this, because her character isn't a love interest at all, and something that really just push around that's like, no, this isn't what this is going for, and she really holds her own, and she's not just a damsel. She never gets kidnapped, she never gets this. There's one point in which she's used as bait in a hostage situation, but everyone knows coming into this where everything's going from that. But then I always like seeing Benedict Wong. He really steals the scene from where he's at. He does what he can to make everything out of here. Now, Clive Owen looks bored, and the big issue comes from Will Smith. Both versions of Will Smith. The older version of Will Smith looks, he looks kind of bored, looks kind of out of it. He's not really giving a lot of energy. You're used to seeing Will Smith with more energy, even if he just seems like he doesn't really want to be there, that is kind of contractually obligated, and he's not really given a lot. Even worse is young version of himself, which isn't a de-aging. It isn't something else. It's a mocap, but then they made a CGI version of young Will Smith. Now, for some reason, he uses this like falsetto voice. It's a little higher. It almost sounds like he's trying to sound like himself from the 1990s, but doesn't quite work in that way. It comes off of really odd readings, and sounds confused. His readings are really awful. It's almost like someone doing an impersonation of him from back then without any of the energy that he brought to his early roles. So and the CG is really awful, and it's really disconcerting because you're seeing like this bad CGI version of Will Smith next to the actual Will Smith, and it stands out like a sore thumb of how awful it looks. And de-aging him would look so much better. I know like Jeff Bridges and Tron looked bad, but that was 9 years ago, and they've done better since then for other movies that I can't think of off the top of my head, besides maybe some of the kids in It, which I really didn't notice the differences there. I know other people did, but this one just stands out like a sore thumb. This and all the CG in the movie just doesn't look good. You expect better, something that apparently cost a lot of money, and especially for something that's has been heralded about for CG and for the special effects, or at least what Ang Lee wanted to do. Because this, maybe it's because I saw it in high frame rate. I saw it at, I think, 60 frames per second. I'm not entirely sure. It didn't really advertise when I got my ticket here at AMC of what high frame rate it was. There's also 3D, but fuck 3D. So I don't know if the high frame rate was what caused some of my issues with the movie, because I don't like it. Look, it's the first movie I've seen in high frame rate. I saw a little bit to The Hobbit when I worked at the movie theater when it was playing. The various Hobbit movies that were in 48 FPS. Yes, I think this is 60. No, it's meant to be seen in 120. But it's really off-putting. It's not, maybe because it looks different, maybe because it's not what I'm expecting than a normal film. But it's strangely enough for something that's to be the next level of cinema, the next step. It looks like 5 steps back. It looks really cheap. It looks like some of the cheap movies I watch for, at home that I get off Amazon, or I watch for the watch various film festivals. Excuse me. Stuff shot in digital that doesn't really have that cinematic sheen to it. That's what really it misses that sheen that you normally come with cinemas. Like, when you're watching a special feature and you're seeing like behind the scenes, and you're seeing like that camera, and before it's gone through all the processing, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like I was watching behind the scenes footage that they filmed and put up on screen. Like, oh, we did the rehearsal and it looked fine, so I might as well just toss it out there. And that's really what it felt like to me. Maybe just it wasn't presented right. Maybe it wasn't the right frame of mind, but it didn't allow me to become part of the film. Like, I like seeing the resolution was great for it. It was really clear and really nice, like some of the better 4Ks I have at home. But even those still have that cinematicness to it. Just didn't have it. And so it was essentially like watching rehearsal footage. And that sometimes maybe would work a little bit for some of the talk sequences, but the action sequences look fucking awful. They're laughable, because it looks like rehearsal, and it doesn't ever feel like a movie in that case. The action sequences, the main one there is the bike one in the front part, and there's some ones later on, the town, and a couple fights here and there, but none of them ever look right. It's hard to find the particular word in this case, but the movements are taking you out. They don't look right. They maybe whatever he had to do to get to use those cameras in that way didn't allow him to shoot in a competent manner. They're just amateur scenes, and it feels cheap and it feels underdone, and it completely drew me out. Every time there's an action sequence, like, the audience is just laughing because that's people in front of me who seem to really dig the movie. So, hey, each of them. Everyone else will see recoiling whenever certain shots look really awful. Like, they really just maybe starting to get in there. There'd be a shot maybe just of Junior's head, and this one, and you're completely back out of it again. So it didn't work in this case, and that's. Maybe if I watch it, I'm not going to watch it again because it's just a boring movie. For an action science fiction movie, it's really freaking boring. Like I said, where the audience is way ahead on the script compared to the characters. It offers no surprise in that case. The action sequences are really underwhelming. When I was watching, I was trying to maybe picture what they look like if they actually had that cinematic sheen to them, but I couldn't quite get into it in that way. And I'm not going to rewatch it to see what it looked like at home, or with standard watchingness. Watchingness, that's a new word. You're going to hear at City of Geek today on October 15th. That reminds me, I gotta put up the podcast later. But yeah, so Gemini Man doesn't work. on any level. It's just it's a tired script that feels its age. It feels like the 90s pseudoscience semi like this movies, whether it be more direct like Face Off, or Gattaca isn't an action movie, but it was 6 Day, which also is a clone movie. It feels like these late 90s pseudoscience action movies, with boring performances by both Will Smiths, by everyone else involved besides Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who does what she can, Benedict Wong, who does what he can. Clive Owen he's usually interesting to watch, but he's just kind of spouting his lines. There's a couple other side characters that don't matter. The plotting is really messy. A lot of things didn't really add up, if you ask me. Looking into certain details, and there's certain things that are brought up that are never followed up on, of the whys behind this. I know it's just an excuse to get to the action sequences, which were completely underwhelming, underdone with, and the high frame rate really throws everything off, and a really bad CG. Particularly I'm gonna just say, there's an epilogue scene, there's a coda scene with Young Jr. and Will Smith, and he looks even worse in this rest of the movie. And I saw people in my audience go, ugh, and I kept doing that during the movie. I see the reactions in the corner of my eye and this and that, of people reacting every time they get really bad shots of Junior. And some of the other CG that comes with it, or just kind of moving their seats kind of like this at certain action sequences. Not oh, I'm really involved, more of that's the shot you chose. So Gemini Man is not a good movie in any shape or form. I'd say it's probably one of the worst wide release movies I've seen this year, and of course nothing as bad as Dark Phoenix, but it definitely falls down towards the bottom. Now, I've seen worse movies. I watch a lot of really cheap movies. I watch a lot of bad horror films, but of regular wide release films, this is definitely towards the bottom. So I don't recommend this. I'm going to give this a D. So thank you for watching this YouTube live version, or just it's going to be uploaded because I don't have live on the phone right here. But like, comment, subscribe. Look and see what I was working on for 100 Days of Horror. I got my written joke review if you want to see a written review of something instead. After Halloween, we'll be able to get back in the regular moving of things. Go to iTunes, subscribe to our podcast, just follow the links elsewhere on the website, and find us at citypeak.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for speaking geek with me about Gemini Man.